Hi guys, another week means another Friday and another Frugal Friday. So we're reading from The Art of Frugal Hedonism, and this week we are on chapter 19. Kim, what's chapter 19?
19 is get in touch with your inner hunter-gatherer. If it so happens that a dark cloud hovers stubbornly over your green thumb, there is still one genre of plants you will likely excel at growing: weeds. This needn't be the curse it might seem, for the majority of leafy weeds are marvelously edible greens themselves. Amaranth, dandelion, mallow, purslane. Even if you don't know the names, you're likely to recognize these globally ubiquitous pop-up plants. Most have been used in traditional cooking for thousands of years and are actually more nutritious than cultivated plants. Such a fine and fun skill is the hunt for wild greens that we have written a book on the topic, The Weed Forager's Handbook. As a bonus, if you make supplementing your diet this way a habit, you might just find that you have also begun to feed the fundamental Homo sapiens instinct to roam and pluck with something much more honest than another pair of shoes you really didn't need. While connecting with your ancestral cave self, you may discover that you are connecting more intimately with your neighborhood. The pursuit of wild foods not only furnishes you with a heightened awareness of the seasons, but has a way of leading you into corners of your garden or suburb that you would never have otherwise visited. On one occasion, while out harvesting edible weeds on an overgrown vacant block, your authors grew languid and felt compelled to stop and lounge in the warm summer grass. Adam decided to use a large abandoned suitcase as a chair, then dozed off in its surprisingly comfortable embrace. A hazy, magical experience tempered only slightly by waking up hours later, feeling a little disoriented, cold, and abandoned, as Annie had long since headed home. Annie counters that Adam was looking so peaceful she couldn't possibly wake him, and anyway, it's a nice neighborhood, and she had food in the oven she had to go check on. And what is the whole point of this anecdote anyway? Can we say at this point that co-authoring is sometimes a challenging process? So get in touch with your inner hunter-gatherer.
Wow, I was not thinking they were going to be talking about weeds.
Oh,
I don't know of many weeds that are edible, but I'm sure there probably is. I was more thinking that they were going to go towards the gathering of fruits off of fruit trees that aren't being harvested and stuff like that. So, have you eaten weeds before?
Well, I think blackberries around here are often considered weeds.
Okay.
And we do pick and eat the blackberries that we find. I know we ate with a friend a few months back, and she had found some little orange edible berries that were just kind of at ground cover, I guess, somewhere. And I don't know if they were naturally planted or not, but she had harvested those. But I also think, to your point, you don't need to just go with weeds. If you can find an unattended fruit tree that no one is actively picking from, and you can get permission to pick it, or if it happens to be on an abandoned lot or something like that, go ahead and harvest that. I know dandelions people do things with, and nettles around here. I've never really experimented with those myself. I tend to get a little nervous because I have an eat first, ask questions later mentality, and so if I just started eating everything, I'm pretty sure I would die because I'm not very good at identifying what's actually toxic and what isn't. So
we were at the beach a few months back, and there was someone harvesting something along the hillside. And he was going to use it. What was he harvesting?
Rose hips.
Rose hips. Okay.
Yeah, and I have done that before. There's wild roses on the hillsides around the Puget Sound where we live, and also sometimes on the side of the road, or you'll find them on trails. And once the rose has dropped all of its petals, it creates like this seed pod, and it's called a rose hip. And so if you pick a rose hip and you use it in your tea or in other ways, supposedly they're really full of nutrients and vitamins.
Okay, all right. So yeah, I think it probably depends on where you live and what different weeds that you have that maybe aren't, that kind of grow in extra and abundance in your area because they're not natural there. That's why they're considered weeds, but but they also are edible. So for us, it's, dandelions and rose hips and blackberries and neighboring fruit trees where the homeowners don't harvest them. And
Mm-hmm.
what else can you think of?
Well, we just found out that our pine trees produce pine nuts, which are actually quite exhausting to harvest, but that could be a good option. I know I had a friend for a while who did a lot of really like getting back to nature things, and she would often go around to the different parks here where we live and pick all sorts of greens and weeds from the ground. And I think she actually had the Weed Forager's Handbook, and she would use it, and she would make little salads out of the things that she would collect. And they spent very little on grocery money because she was always walking and gleaning and harvesting and really truly living as like a hunter-gatherer. So
Sure, yeah. I would say if you're going to a park that there are dogs at, maybe don't pick anything close to the ground.
Or wash them
Otherwise,
thoroughly.
yeah, so wash them thoroughly, because who knows what they feed on. So, but yeah, let's hear what you guys have chosen to harvest that might be considered a weed in your area, as we have lived most of our life here in the Pacific Northwest, and so we know what we have, but it'd be interesting to hear what other people might consider weeds and are able to gather for free in their areas. So thank you for watching. Kim, do you have anything else to add this week?
I do not.
All right, well, we will see you in the next video.
Bye.